Hey everyone, it's me Bailey and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we have my mid-year book haul. So these are going to be all the books that I have bought from January 1st up until June 30th. So there are quite a few books in this haul. Based on my count, there are 62 books, I believe, to haul for this video. So we might be here for a minute. Grab a drink, grab a snack, and settle in because this might be a long one. So they're basically categorized into months. They're not really categorized into like genre or anything like that. So basically I have my list here on my iPad that has all the books that I've bought and whether or not I've read them. So basically that is what we're going to be going through in this video. Okay, so the first two books that I bought in January are a part of the Addicted and Calloway Sister series. So I bought Addicted After All and Long Way Down by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I still have not finished this series, but hopefully soon. I'm not exactly sure. I know this is the last book in the Addicted series and this is the last book in the Calloway Sister series, I think. So I think these were the only two that I had to buy left. The next book that I got in January was The Reunion by Kayla Olson, and this came in my January book of the month box. I read this and I enjoyed it. The next book is The Final Offer by Lauren Asher. This is the third book in the Dreamland Billionaire series and I have read this one and I enjoyed it. Next we have Jasper Vale by Devaney Perry, which is the fourth book in the Eden series, and I have read this one and I enjoyed this one as well. Next we have Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score, and I read this one and I originally gave this 4.5 stars, but I have since lowered my rating to a 4-star, but I still really enjoyed this and would definitely recommend this book. The next book is Just My Type by Fallon Ballard, and this is the second book that I've read by Fallon Ballard and I really enjoyed this one. I think I ended up giving this one 4 stars. The next book that we have is Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey, and this is one of her newer books. This is the first one in the A Vine Mess series and I gave this 3 stars. I was actually very disappointed in this book, but hopefully I will like the second book in this series a lot better. The next book is The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz. I got this in my February book of the month box, and this is when I decided that I wanted to really start diving into the mystery thriller genre. So this is where I just started and I enjoyed this for the most part. It was definitely a wild ride, so yeah. Next we have Things We Do in the Dark, and this is actually a June 2022 book of the month pick, but I got it in my February box because, like I said, I wanted to start diving into mystery thrillers more, and this was one of the first 5-star books I gave of this year. I really loved this book and definitely would recommend it, but definitely a check triggers. Next we have Crave by Tracy Wolff, and this is the first book in the Crave series, and this is a young adult vampire novel. This reminded me of Twilight, so take from that what you will, but I did enjoy this and do have plans to continuing on with the rest of the series. The next book is The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth, and this is again another mystery thriller book. I did end up reading this one and I think I gave it like 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it for the most part, but wasn't my favorite. Next we have Crush, which is the second book in the Crave series, and I have not read this one yet, but like I said, I do have plans to continue on with this series, so I am super excited to eventually get to this one. Next we have Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson, and this is a young adult fantasy. I have not read this one yet, but I am going to be reading this one very soon. Next we have Mile High by Liz Tom Ford, and this is a romance book. I have recently read this and absolutely loved it. One of my favorite books that I've read so far this year, and highly recommend this book if you have not picked it up yet. Next we have Court of the Vampire Queen by Katie Robert, and I bought this on a whim. I'd seen Tori from Tori Between Pages. This was in one of the thumbnail pictures for sprints that she was doing, and I was like, okay, I need to read that book, and so I picked it up. Have not read it yet, but do have plans to read this soon. Next we have Dark Fae by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. This is the first book in the Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac series. I recently read this one last month and really enjoyed it, and will definitely be continuing on with the series. Next we have Queen of Myth and Monster by Scarlett St. Clair. This is the second book in the Adrian Isolde series. I think there's only 2 books out right now, but I recently read this one not too long ago and this was just okay. I think I gave it like 3 stars. Don't know if I see myself continuing this series. Next we have The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent, and I am terrified of this book because of all the hype that surrounds it. I have not read it yet, but am hoping to read it soon. Next we have The Only Survivors by Megan Miranda, and this is a mystery thriller book. This came in my April book of the month box, and I have read this one and I enjoyed it for the most part. I wouldn't say that it was the best mystery or thriller that I've ever read, but still pretty good if you're looking for a like beach read that is, yeah, basically if you're just looking for a like mystery kind of beach read, then this would probably be perfect for that. Next we have Blood and Honey by Shelby Maharan, and this is the second book in the Serpent and Dove trilogy series maybe, and I read Serpent and Dove earlier this year and wanted to continue on with the series, so I bought this one. I have not got to this just yet, but hopefully soon. Next we have Zodiac Academy, Zaro and Starlight. This is book 8 in the Zodiac Academy series, and I have read this one and it literally had me fiending for the next book, but unfortunately I just have to wait like everyone else. So highly recommend the series if you have not read it. The writing's not super great, but the story overall is really good, and I definitely would recommend the series. Definitely check the trigger warnings though. So yeah. Next we have Coach by Devaney Perry, and this is a second chance romance, and I read this not too long ago and I really enjoyed it. I'm super excited for more books to come in this series. Next we have Happy Place by Emily Henry, and I have read this and I really enjoyed this. I ended up giving it 5 stars and would highly recommend this book. Next we have Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, and I have not read this book yet because I'm a little bit intimidated by it, but I kept seeing it everywhere, so I just felt like I needed to buy it. So here we are. Hopefully I will be getting to this one soon. I am a little intimidated by this book, but I've heard amazing things about it and cannot wait to read it. The next book is Say You Swear by Megan Brandy, and this is a sports romance. I'm pretty sure I have not read this, but hopefully I will be reading it pretty soon. I really like this cover. I really like the colors. So yeah, that's part of the reason that I picked it up. Plus I just heard that it was really good, so super excited to get to this one. Next we have King of Wrath by Anna Huang, and this is the first book in the Kings of Sin series. I have read the first 2 books in the Twisted series by Anna Huang and really enjoyed them and have plans to continue on with that series, but I was hoping to try this series as well. I've heard very good things about this book, so I'm super excited to read it soon, hopefully. Next we have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, and this is the spin-off book of Part of Your World, and I've loved everything by Abby Jimenez that I have read, and so I'm super excited to get to this one. I have not read this one just yet, but hopefully I will be getting to it soon. Next we have Twisted Lies, which is the 4th book in the Twisted series, and I haven't read this one yet, but do have plans to hopefully get to it soon. Super excited. I've heard this one is the best one in the series. So I've heard this one and Twisted Games are the top 2 out of the series, so I'm super excited to get to this one. Next we have Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh, and I have read this one and I gave this 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed this. This book is not going to be for everyone, but it is a found family story, and definitely check the triggers if you are planning on picking this book up. It definitely took me around until the 50% mark to actually get really invested into the story, and that's saying something because this is a 700-page book, but overall I think I probably would recommend this, but definitely go into it with caution if you are planning on reading this. Next we have The Comeback Summer by Allie Brady, and I bought this because I read their other book and loved it last year, and this was their new release, so I picked it up. I have not read this one yet, but hopefully I will get to it sometime this summer. Next we have The Last Word by Taylor Adams, and this came in my May book of the month box. Like I said, have been trying to dive more into the mystery thriller genre. I've heard that No Exit by Taylor Adams was really good, so I figured I would try something of his, and it was on book of the month, so I figured why not, and since I'm trying to dive into this genre, I figured why not start here. Next we have The Right Move by Liz Ford, and this is the second book in the Windy City series, and I have read this one and I enjoyed this one. I didn't like this one as much as The Right Move, but a majority of people say that this one is their favorite, but I personally liked The Right Move a little bit better than this one, but they're both still very, very good and I would highly recommend this series. Next we have Steel King by Devney Perry, and this is the first book in the Clifton Forge series. I have not read this one yet, but I would love to read everything from Devney Perry's backlist, so I figured I would start with this series once I'm finished with the Eden series, and hopefully I like this one as much as I like her other books. So with this next one, I did also buy the first one as well, but it's actually on loan to my aunt right now. So that is Brittle Prince by Sophie Lark and Stolen Air by Sophie Lark, and I bought these before they got a print because she did get picked up by a publisher, but I wanted these independently published ones because I just like the font on the front a little bit better. So I have been trying to buy the series. I have already read this whole series and absolutely loved it, and definitely would recommend if you're looking for a, I guess, low dark romance, a dark romance that's not very dark, that is mafia themed. So next we have Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas, and I bought this because I have the first edition hardcovers of Throne of Glass and wanted to annotate, but I didn't want to annotate in those, so I figured I would just pick up another copy of the series. Plus I really love the series, so I want to have multiple copies, and hence why I decided to pick up the paperback version of the series so that way I can annotate it. Next we have A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas again, and I already have 2 copies of this series, so I figured why not get a third one. But I don't have the paperback version of the new covers, and I don't have the hardback versions of the new covers. I just have the hardback of the original covers and the paperback of the original covers, so I wanted the new covers as well, so I also bought these to annotate in. Next we have Jade City by Fonda Lee, and I've heard absolutely amazing things about this series. I have not read it yet, but I am super excited to get to this. It is a high fantasy, or I think it's an urban fantasy actually, but I've heard really amazing things about this book and this series, and I'm super excited to get to it hopefully soon. Next we have Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney, and I have heard really good things about this book. I don't know what it's about, but I've heard Alice Feeney is a very good mystery thriller writer, and like I've said a bunch of times at this point, I'm trying to get more into that genre, so I figured I would start with a pretty popular author in the genre. Next we have The Love Wager by Lynn Painter, and I've heard pretty mixed things about this book, but it was buy one get one 50% off, and I've heard that her writing is really good, but just some people just like her young adult books better. But I feel like I would really like this book, so I picked it up and hopefully I will get to it soon. Next we have Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune, and this is her second book, and I've not heard very good things about this book, so I'm interested to see what I'm going to think about it. But I bought this to read hopefully sometime this summer if I ever am done with school, basically. So next I have Shudder by Ramona Emerson, and I have not heard anything about this book. I saw it at Barnes & Noble, and one of the employees actually recommended it to me. She said that this was basically like The Ghost Whisperer meets like Criminal Minds, because we're following this girl who is a forensics photographer for the police station, but she can also see ghosts, and the ghosts help her basically solve their murders until there's like this one ghost that wants like revenge or something. It sounds really, really good, and I'm super excited to get to this one. I'm very intrigued by the premise, and like I said, I haven't seen many people talking about this, so I'm super excited to get to this. Hopefully I like it. Next we have Daisy Hates, which is the second book in the Magnolia Parks universe, and I'm currently reading this one. I'm like 30 pages in, so I'm not like super far into it, but absolutely loved Magnolia Parks and just am so excited to continue on with the series. But I am struggling a little bit to get to this one. I haven't really been in the mood to want to pick this up, but hopefully I can finish this one pretty soon. Next we have Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. This is the second book in the A Vine Mess series, and I have not read this one yet, but I definitely feel like I'm going to like this one a lot more than Secretly Yours, just because of the tropes that are in this one. So hopefully I will like this one more, and hopefully I can get to it soon. Next we have Savage Faye by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. This is the second book in the Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac series, and I have not read this one yet, but I'm hopefully going to get to this one soon. Super excited excited to continue on with the series. Next, we have one that I haven't seen talked about in a very, very long time, and that is Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the second book in the Illuminate Files series. I bought this one off of Pango because I literally could not find the hardback anywhere. Like, I have the first book and the third book because I found the third book on sale like one random day, so I just picked it up, but I never got the second book. And I have read the first one, but obviously I haven't read the third one because I didn't have the second one, and I wanted the hardback not only to match the ones that I already have, but just because it's so cool. Like, it's like see-through, the dust jacket is see-through, and the front just has like the this is what it looks like naked, and it's just so cool because I really like the way that it looks, and obviously I wanted my copies to match. But so yeah, I found this on Pango for a pretty good price and just decided to go ahead and pick it up. So yeah, hopefully next time I get a sci-fi prompt out of my TBR jar, I won't be able to hesitate because I actually have a sci-fi book now. Next, we have The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer, and this came in my June book of the month box, and I have not read this one yet, but I've heard that it is like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory but with books, so I'm very intrigued by the premise. It's also very short, so hopefully I can get to this one soon as well. So next we have A Court of Wings and Rune, which is the third book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. No, I do not have the second book, but I did get this one because it was a part of the buy two get one sale that Amazon was having, so I figured I would just go ahead and pick it up. And it's not like I don't already have 2 copies of A Court of Mist and Fury if I decide that I want to reread A Court of Mist and Fury, so I figured I could just go ahead and buy these out of order. But yeah, so that's that one. Next, we have Savage Lover by Sophie Lark. This is the third book in the Brutal Birthright series. Like I said, trying to collect these covers before they go out of print. Next, we have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace, and I picked this up because I absolutely love this. This is my first 5-star book of the year, and I really wanted a physical copy, so I decided to go ahead and pick this one up. I might end up annotating it later, but I bought this basically just because I wanted it, and it was a part of that buy two get one sale. I have already read this one, and I would recommend this. I really enjoyed it, but I know this book isn't probably for everyone. Next, we have By a Thread by Lucy Score. I've heard really good things about this. This is a grumpy sunshine workplace romance, and those are some of my favorite things, so I am super excited to get to this one. I've heard this is a 5-star book, so I'm super excited to read it. Next, we have The Beach Trap by Allie Brady, and I did actually read this book last year, but I wanted a physical copy, so I bought it. It was probably one of my favorite books that I read last summer, and I definitely would recommend this book if you are looking for a summer read. Next, we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, and I've heard such good things about this book that I figured I would pick it up and hopefully see what all the hype is about, so super excited to get to this one soon, hopefully. Next, we have Crimson River by Daphne Perry, and this is the 5th book in the Eden series, and I've been reading this as it has been coming out, and I have been loving this series, so I'm super excited to get to this one. Hopefully, I think by the time this video goes out, I might have already read this one, but I am expecting to read this one in July. Next, we have The Stopover by T.L. Swan, and I read this, I want to say back in 2021, but the main reason that I bought a physical copy, not only because I really enjoyed this book, but because it was like super cheap, so I figured I would pick this book up. Plus, I have been wanting to reread it, so I figured I might as well just buy a copy, and so here we are. Next, we have American King by Sierra Simone. This is the 3rd book in the American Royal series, I think is what it's called, maybe American Queen series, I'm not sure, but I did have to find this one on Pango because it has since been picked up, and there was literally only 1 copy of this book on Pango, and I wanted the independently published version because I did actually order this book from Amazon, and it was the traditionally published one, so it was like too like short. It was probably like this short, and like, if that makes sense, like it was tiny compared to these versions, and I already had the first 2 in this size, so I wanted to make sure that the third one matched. Okay, we're almost done. We have 5 books left. So the next book is Corrupt by Penelope Douglas, and this is a dark romance. I am hopefully going to be reading this in the month of July. It's on my TBR and I have been wanting to read this book for a while, so I'm super excited to hopefully get to this. Okay, so the next two books are part of the same series, but I actually bought them out of order. So I bought Magnolia Parks, A Long Way Home, and Daisy Hates, The Great Undoing. So this is the third and fourth book in the Magnolia Parks universe. I had bought Daisy Hates because it was on, like, I had seen it for like $8 and I was like, holy crap, these books are normally like 20, 25, 30 bucks. So $8, I'm gonna go ahead and buy it. And then I bought this one because I saw the announcement for the cover change for the Magnolia Parks series and absolutely hate those covers. So I wanted to make sure that I could pick this book up while it was still in print, and I found it on sale too for like $11 too, so it was super cheap as well. I don't know what was going on with that and why they were so cheap, but they are the same size. And so as far as I know, I just happened to catch them on a good day, but super excited to have these and we'll hopefully be getting to these soon. Next I have the Nanny by Lana Ferguson, and I actually finished this book earlier today and I decided to give this 3.75 stars. This was pretty good. It wasn't my favorite book ever, but this basically follows Aiden, and he is a single dad, and Cassie, and she is a former cam girl for OnlyFans, and he was once her biggest fan and now she works for him. And yeah, basically that's what this story is, and it was pretty good. I just felt like it took me a really long time to read it. I felt like I was reading it so slow, like I just didn't ever feel sucked in to the story, so that's why I rated it the way that I did. And finally, the last book in this video is one that everyone has been wanting, including myself, and unfortunately I was not able to get the first print edition, but that is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. And so I just got my copy in the mail the last day of June, so here it is. I have it in the flesh. It does have regular edges, no pretty black sprayed edges, but that is okay. I have heard super amazing things about this book, so hopefully, fingers crossed, that it is worth the hype and that I can get to it soon and that I enjoy it. That is going to be it for my book haul. That is all 62 books, I believe, that I've bought between January 1st and June 30th. I have officially decided to go on a semi book ban, which means that I basically will not be buying any standalones. I will only be buying sequels, and I will have had to read the book prior before I can buy it. So kind of a book ban, kind of not. So hopefully that'll cut down kind of on some of the books that I'm bringing in, because I do realize that 60 books is a lot to buy in a 6-month span. So that's basically like 10 books a month, but that is definitely a lot of books, and I'm definitely trying to read more books than I'm bringing in, but so far that hasn't been the case this year. So starting on the second half of the year, we're trying to turn that around. So let me know if you have read any of these books, or if any of these books stuck out to you that you would be interested in checking in. I would love to hear your thoughts or plans for any of these books. But that's gonna be the end of the video. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content from me. I will have all of my social medias linked down in the description, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.